So let's look at the practical steps that we can use to break free from stress and suffering or dukkha and attain peace. Side note, this is based on the foundation of all of the theory that we learned from the previous videos. So if you haven't seen them, you should do that right now. Now, as a recap from the previous video, our goal is to let our mind rise on its own, like a hot air balloon would, and which means that it becomes super calm and super clear, which then can be used to get a lot of insights into reality. And these insights cause permanent changes in your mind so that it permanently drops suffering. So you get temporary relief from suffering as well or stress, and you also get permanent relief and release from these sufferings and stresses as well. Now, the permanent stuff, which is related to these insights, that's something that we'll deal with later. But for now, we'll discuss the calmness part. How do we get our mind to be super calm as well? Now, calmness just happens on its own if you just stop the dependent origination or the stress making process for a few minutes. So, if you stop it for 5 minutes, it'll become calm by X degrees. If you stop it for far longer, let's say 15 minutes or 30 minutes, then your mind slowly rises from, let's say, state 50 to state 60 within 10 minutes, then beyond that to state 70, and so on. But this rising of the mind through these mental states happens on its own. You don't need to do something to be happy. It's a sort of undoing that happens on its own. And this undoing of dependent origination is what meditation is. Now, meditation can mean a lot of different things to people. The word itself doesn't say much, but when I say meditation, I mean this undoing of dependent origination to release stress. Now, this general term meditation includes sitting practice and it includes daily life practice as well. In this video, we'll mostly be looking at the sitting practice side of things and lightly touch on the daily life aspect, which we'll probably cover in another video. So here we'll be learning how to use those 4 tools that help us undo dependent origination and its links. Now, even if you think you know how to meditate or you know how those 4 tools work, I still recommend using this video as a review so that you can see if you're making a mistake that is holding your practice speed back. So it's pretty important, in my opinion, to use these tools effectively so that you get quicker results or efficient results. So, starting with what you absolutely should not be doing in meditation, it's focusing or using your attention to concentrate. So, these terms are, in my opinion, not maybe the best translation of the term shamatha. And therefore, instead of translating shamatha as concentration, I like to just call it calming. So, if you are using a meditation practice where you keep your attention on, let's say, the breath or on a meditation object, you are probably doing something that's holding your progress back. And I say this because, in terms of dependent origination, your attention has a really high chance of clinging to these objects. So, trying to make it stick on these objects is probably causing clinging, and that's the thing that's causing your mind to not progress to these higher mental states. Now, you could still see some progress, or in fact, even go all the way and get like the most calmest mind that you can using this focusing thing. But this is not the main driver of that progress. It's, if anything, it's probably slowing you down. And so the main progress that you got was because of the other stuff that we'll discuss next. Now let's see what to do in a sit. I am assuming you know about sitting posture and all of those basics from maybe other sources. In short, just try and sit comfortably, but not too comfortably so that you don't get sleepy. And don't sit too rigidly so that you don't get distracted by being too uncomfortable. But ultimately, those postures don't really matter too much. It's all about just not being distracted by your body too much during meditation. Now, after that, all you really need to undo the dependent origination process is, again, not to focus, but to use the 4 tools that we discussed from the previous video. Now, there are specific techniques that you can use to sort of implement or perform those 4 tools. So, techniques are not the ultimate thing, these aren't something that you should cling to. All that really matters is that you are performing or implementing these 4 tools so that you can undo dependent origination. Now, a lot of these techniques are nothing new. These are things that a lot of other teachers have explained over the years. All I'm trying to do is put together the best techniques that seem to work for me and others as well. But you can mix and match and play around with different techniques on your own as long as they fit the framework of these 4 tools that cause the undoing of dependent origination. So if you understand that foundation, you'll know which techniques work by testing it on your own. Also, you'll be able to evaluate teachers or their teachings using this framework or this foundation as well. As long as they undo dependent origination, it's perfectly fine. Now, the technique that I recommend is something that I think is the most scalable, that is applicable to a lot of people, and it's probably the fastest way for a lot of these people to undo dependent origination. This is something that the Buddha himself recommended too, and this is mindfulness of breathing or Anapanasati. And Anapanasati can be used to go through all of the steps of calming your mind down and also for attaining insight. So, the same technique can be used throughout your meditative journey. Now, once again, just be sure that you don't translate Anapanasati as keeping your attention focused on the breath. If you perform it this way, your progress could possibly be really slow. If you perform it well, however, your progress could happen within just a couple of months or maybe even a few weeks. And if you perform it using the focusing sort of a manner, you'll probably take years to progress, which I've seen a lot of people go through. And how to measure this meditation progress is something that you can see in my other videos. Now, let's look at the first tool, awareness or mindfulness. Now, let's try and learn what mindfulness actually feels like. So, if you can listen to me while just very slightly staying aware of the sense of having a body, of your body existing in the background, using just like 10 or 20% of your mental energy, that's basically it. Even if you just use this 1% of your mental energy just to slightly know or be aware that your body exists or some sensations that probably correlate to your body exist, that's fine. uh, Again, I'm not suggesting that you conceptually start seeing mental images of your body. That's not important. That's something that your attention does. Attention leads to this conceptual information, but rather it's more like just allowing the sensations related to the body to exist in this awareness. Almost like you can slightly feel the body, but that's basically it. Just allow the sensations to exist. Now, the difference between this mindfulness and being unmindful is that until I asked you to be aware of the body, you probably weren't really aware of it. You were probably focusing on the only thing that I'm saying and not really aware that the body exists, even if you logically know that it exists. So, this real time information that, yep, something else exists other than the thing that you're focusing on. Your body does exist uh, in real time while you're focusing on something else. This larger sort of context feeling, this is what mindfulness feels like. So if I ask you, hey, does the body exist? Does your body exist? You can tell me based on real time feeling or real time sensations rather than you needing to check and tell me then that, yep, my body exists. Now, interestingly, what thing you are mindful of or which sensations you allow in your awareness, that's not really as important as the fact that you are mindful. So just becoming mindful of the body sort of puts you in this slightly slow-mo distant sort of zone, almost like the movie, the scene from the movie The Matrix, where Keanu Reeves sort of dodges these bullets in slow motion. Now, if you have been aware of your body existing in the background, that's really nice. You were mindful until now, even while talking to me. So that shows you that your attention can be on something else and you can still be mindful. Now, instead of the body, you can pretty much choose anything else that happens in your mind body and be aware of it. So it's sort of like becoming at a meta level aware of the fact that something is happening, especially in your mind and body. So if you're washing the dishes, you could be busy washing the dishes, or you could know that you are washing the dishes as you are doing it. So that's basically how that feels like. And you could choose any object to be mindful of, anything that gets you in this mindful zone. Again, the zone is more important for now than the object that you're mindful of. But a really simple thing to be mindful of, especially during a meditation sit, is breathing, because it's something that's almost always present, hopefully, and that it's dynamic. So let's try and be aware of the fact that breathing is happening. So you just need to ask yourself the question, am I breathing? And if the answer is yes, how do I know that I'm breathing? Which sensation that's happening somewhere in the background is letting me know that breathing is happening? Again, use a very small percentage of your mental energy to know this. You don't necessarily need to move your attention to do that. Keep listening to what I'm saying, so your attention would probably stay with me. But just feel the sensations of these movements in your body that sort of let you know that, yeah, breathing is happening. You don't even need to put the label that it's breathing. You don't need to have this mental image of any movement. Just feel the motion that is happening somewhere in your body, in a specific body part, and just, yeah, just be aware that this movement exists. Now, the only thing that you can also probably be aware of, that's fine to be aware of, is the location or the body part where these breathing sensations seem to be happening. Even then, you don't need to put a label on or know which exact body part it is. Just know whether it's happening towards the top of wherever your face, or is it happening somewhere down below, maybe in your stomach, maybe, yeah, somewhere else, or it's happening around your nose ish sort of area. That's about it. And that's about it. Now, during a meditation sit, these sort of body parts that let you know that breathing sensations exist or that breathing exists would change with time. As you become more calm, the body parts change. I deal with this in my meditation progress tracking video, but just know that for now that it's completely normal, and just stay with whatever body part these breathing sensations are happening in, wherever your awareness is automatically directed towards. That's it. Um, and also, if you close your eyes, you wouldn't really have anything to put your attention on, unlike how you're listening to me right now and you have your attention on the video. Uh, but if you are in a sitting meditation position, you can increase the amount of mental energy that you spend on being aware of this breathing. So instead of using just 10 to 20% of your mind, maybe use like 40 to 50% of your mental energy, just so that you don't sleep. So if you feel sleepy because of it, that's because you aren't really using a lot of mental energy to be aware. So ideally, your awareness should feel slightly sharp, almost as if, yeah, like you are wide-eyed and your awareness is slightly open and wide as well, but pretty relaxed still. Shouldn't feel like efforting. This extra energy should almost feel like you're increasing the intensity or the amplitude or just the volume of these breathing sensations that are being felt. And during all this, let your attention do whatever it needs to do. Don't really micromanage it. It doesn't really matter ultimately. We'll look at how we could use the other tools of reversing dependent origination to boost our meditation progress in the next video.